if there is such a person as a FPS guru, it would be Daryl.
Whisperer, right?
Right.
FPS whisperer.
The one that deep thinker, thinking what you can do, and anybody's stretched the system to the breaking point and beyond. It's been Daryl. But always look to him as having what the next step, analytical tools, and so here's some things we probably can't do very well right now, but it is possible, and business intelligence is where the world is headed, and so Daryl will lead us there.
Okay. Oh yeah, thank you, Norm. Yeah, what we'll be talking about is a Microsoft product called PowerBI. Anybody familiar with that term, PowerBI? No. It's, you've heard the word data analytics, that's kind of a buzzword. PowerBI is just one of the tools out in the industry that kind of applies to data analytics. So over the past few months, I just opted to take some time to just learn what PowerBI really is and how we might be able to implement it in production ag and cost accounting and some of the things that we're doing with FPS. Randy, you want to share your thoughts on the MASA group?
Well, to me, I think I'm not sure how this fits with MASA, how it fits with FPS and the software, but I think it's just something we need to have on the table and be able to, because it's really a demonstration isn't the right word, but it's a way of getting information. If you have managers in your business and they don't know how to get into FPS, but they want to have management information, this is a way that you can just hit refresh and it'll pull in the information, and it's I think it's just pretty powerful from what I've seen, and it's just getting better.
Failed to introduce Randy. Randy English is one of the people I work with out by Carney, large seed corn producer, and been with you about 15 years now, roughly. But, so Randy has agreed to share some of his, this is, use one of his entities as a kind of a learning curve to get this up and going.
And it's got Amy Powers, she's one of the ladies in our office, and she's really tackled this.
Yeah, Amy has been very interested in helping connect. She's picked up on it pretty fast. Without her, we wouldn't be here today.
There.
Honestly. Okay, so like I said, a few months ago I decided just to take some time and try to learn some new things. Been in this role for CFO role for 25 some years, and I'm just trying to find better ways of doing things. So my initial thought was I need to enhance my skill set. My background is Excel, and we all know what spreadsheet hell is. That's the right term. But I'm trying to find better ways of presenting, organizing, being more efficient, just being more productive. So I came up with a couple goals. Can I create basic financial statements out of Power BI? If I can somehow get data into Power BI, can I create basic financial statements, balance sheet, income statement, then even down to like the divisional level. We'll talk about those in a minute, and then down to like the cost center level. What kind of reporting can I get out of there? Again, looking for simplification. And I told Norm last night, my whole goal in this is to touch data once. Okay? How many times do we put numbers into a spreadsheet, massage it, run it through FPS, and then out of FPS, we have to put it right back into another spreadsheet. I do that quite often. And I want to get to the point where I'm just touching the data once. I want to mention that to Norm. He said, why do we even want to touch it once? I agree with that. Let's avoid the human touch on a lot of this as much as possible. The other thing, I wanted to see if I could tackle the cost allocations. Randy has one of his entities in QuickBooks, and we really had no way of understanding what was going on inside that business until we picked up on some cost allocation, very similar to what we're doing with FPS. And then I kept hearing about dashboard reporting. A lot of the friends I have in Lincoln, they work for larger organizations, And they talk about dashboards all the time. They're running their business by KPIs. You know, in fact, they kind of hate looking at the dashboards because that's what they live by. And I looked at myself. I don't have any dashboards. I don't have any KPIs in what I do. So I was trying to explore what this kind of technology might be able to get to in terms of dashboards and like Randy said, accessibility and information that's available to his production managers. So what is Power BI? And again, is anybody familiar with it? They came in, a couple of you. Okay. Power BI is a Microsoft product. And I just kind of became aware of it about a year ago. So it's fairly new to me. But as I was doing some research, how many of you recognize the term Power Pivot in Excel? A couple of you do? Okay. Well, Power Pivot came out, according to my reading, back in 2010, and it was an add-on to Excel. And Microsoft has continued to add on to that. And then about in 2014 or 15, they kind of broke that away out of Excel and moved the data calculations of the engine, they call it, into Power BI. So Power BI has only been in existence, I would say, since 2014, 15, 16, just within the last 4 or 5 years. But it originally kind of got its start in Excel as part of the Power Pivot add-on. So what is Power BI? And I was going to show a video, but trying to go through it a little bit faster. Power BI, there's multiple pieces to it. The first one is the desktop. And that's basically where what I've been using, you just connect to the data and you start doing your calculations and your visualization. You start doing data massaging, get it in a format that works well for the visualizations. So what we've done is been able to like take dumps out of FPS or dumps out of QuickBooks, just transactional dump, and through Power Query, which is a piece of it, and the data processing side, being able to massage it into some of the reports we'll eventually see. The next level up is what we call the Power BI service, and that's basically the web-based side of things. So, like Randy was saying, if he wants his son Matt to be able to see some of the reports, we can publish it to the service, publish these reports to the service, and then Matt will have access to it through his browser or through his phone. So some of the reports that you'll be seeing is available through Matt, who could care less about FPS or QuickBooks. You know, he's a production manager. But he should have access to these kind of reports that we get to. Again, cloud-based type system. Then part of this whole package is what we call BI mobile apps, and the same reports that you see on the desktop you can pull off your phone or your tablet. And then the Power BI apps, basically that's a data collection tool that Microsoft has come out of as part of the package. So we'll talk about mileage logs in a few minutes. That's one of the things that Emmy asked me about. Well, can we create an app to collect the miles? So that's going to be part of the Power BI package. Okay, so let's move forward a little bit and let Randy explain the RPM challenge and a little bit about this entity.
Well, so the various businesses related to Cambridge Seed Farms, Cambridge Family Farms is on FBS, but some of the other smaller entities, I say smaller, but so I don't want the trucking businesses, half a dozen trucks and a number of trailers. So, and the challenge with RPM, if you get looking at some of the data, it's not going to look real whoopy. It's a part of your business because we need those same guys to be out in the field during the summer and fall, and so the numbers don't look real pretty. So don't always focus on what you see. But we're trying to understand a little better to drive what our the metrics are, the KPIs, trying to learn how to set rates. And so that's really, Daryl's pulling information out of QuickBooks for this RPM discussion. And we're just trying to learn how to one of the challenges we'll look at here a little bit later was, well, okay, we're doing live bottom service, so at harvest time we're bringing cobs, shucks, chucklage, ear corn at all, are trying to set billing rates for the tractor company. And so some of it's, just set everything on a mileage basis. When this equipment goes out to the field or wherever it's going, there's loading times, there's things more related that it's just not out on the road and doing miles. It's got to take the loading time and the unloading time. That billing rates need to include that. So where a couple of years ago I said, well, let's just go to an hourly rate, and we'll get to that here a little bit later. But the hourly rate is we had some customers who were closer and customers are farther away. So this has been a good discovery here. Yeah.
So we'll move into some live, live examples. And keep in mind that, I guess we got two reasons we're doing this. One is just to kind of show components of PowerBI, what the different pieces are and how it works. With some decision making that we came up with for Randy on his trucking pricing.
Yeah,
So we're going to kind of commingle some of the conversation here.
I really wanted the primary reason for today is just to get some presentation in front of you about what Power BI looks like. Maybe not get too bogged down on what the numbers are, but really what the power of it is, and to be able to, whatever that looks like for Moss in the future, what is Power BI going to have for fees down the road? Nobody really knows, but it's pretty inexpensive right now. So, how does it get incorporated in? I don't know what that looks like, but I think it's just a good look at something that's possible right now.
Okay, starting off with, we created kind of a home page, a menu page to navigate to the different reports. And we'll just quickly go through some of these, like the balance sheet, just to show you some of the features. We have working capital, what the current working capital is. We got trends, just to get basic balance sheet. On the income statement side, we'll just look at that. Again, I'm going to flip this back in here somewhere. So right there. And again, just basic high-level income statement. And just show you some of the features. I'm going to go look at repairs and make sure I'm on the right line, Randy.
Yep.
Okay. And again, 2019 is only through August, and we're looking at all of 18. So really, what does that mean year-to-date basis? So we can right-click, and then there's some options called drill through. And let's look at the year-over-year ledger comparison.
Can everybody hear Daryl? Okay, good. In the back. Okay.
Okay.
Can't see very well.
Well, I need to sit so I can control the monitor mouse.
Thank you.
So basically, the dashboard, you've got different visuals on a page. And for right now, it's hard to see, but
We do have an app for that.
right now, the year-to-date repair is about 62,000, and the prior year was about 55,000. So we have a $7,000 increase in repairs. Okay, so one of the questions I've asked, well, what makes up that 62,000? Okay, how would we go do that in FBS? Okay. So what are you going to see when you drill into it?
This is detail.
You're going to see the individual detail.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, what we can do here is,
I don't know if you can see it, but down on the bottom, these are groupings of tractors, different kinds of trailers. So this is hopper, tank trailer, van, wide bottom, tank service.
okay, and that would be very equivalent to the S1, S2 centers in FBS, where the S1 centers are the individual resources. The S2s are the bigger groupings, which we have listed here. So out of that 62,000, 49,000 of that's related to tractors, and if you hover over it, it'll pull up the individual tractors, how much has been spent on each individual tractor. So it's a quick way of seeing, so when we say drill down, so what's one level down, and then
The origination of that data
is
be allocated to each of those individual
the
items.
original data.
That's done where?
That's done in QuickBooks, and then each of the resources, trailers, is separated by class.
So it's class by ledger.
Correct, yeah.
So is this running off of live data?
Okay, for right now, what we're doing is taking QuickBooks and just creating the dump, basically a transactional history report, and dumping that to Excel, and pulling the Excel report into here.
Which you could do out of FBS too. You could
Yeah,
just
same concept.
You could just go straight to Excel. So Excel's the source.
Excel is the source. There are ways of connecting live to the QuickBooks database, but we just haven't got there yet.
So this is beyond my understanding, but if Masa's SQL, you can do a quick refresh and it can pull.
Yeah.
So could you do that with the FBS database?
Eventually, yes. Yeah.
It's access, so I don't know.
Yeah. But there's ways of within the Power Query, which is what I talked about. You can get the thousands of different data sources.
And have live?
There's options.
So if you keep drilling down, there's detail here yet.
Let's see if I can.
But
Let's see if I can make that. Okay, so if you want to see, I'm looking at the trackers, and I want to go see the individual listing. So this would be basically the transaction plus transaction report.
this gets down to right down to the data. Now, you can't, at this point, you can't drill down to the source document. That's the power of FPS.
You can't get to the check or deposit.
Correct.
That you're at.
You can't edit it from here. You
No.
just view it.
All you're seeing is this is the farthest down I can go.
So how much setup is involved? The dashboard is really slick, but you had to start proposing.
Yeah, there's, you mentioned the map. Sarah was putting maps together between wrangling and
Yeah.
FPS. I've got several maps
Uh-huh.
in here. Same concept.
Uh-huh.
Okay, so that's kind of, just looking at the generic income statement, this is kind of the level you kind of start getting to. Let's go back to the home page. And what's the challenge with the income statement? You really don't know what's going on inside the business. Randy talks about these different divisions, between the live bottom service and copper bottom services. We don't see that at the income statement level. So we're able to come up with a report, and up here. Randy, you want to explain your divisions?
Yeah, so this is just the type of services that with the different kinds of trailers. So it says bag service, we're delivering bags out to dealers, customers. There's hopper service, which you can imagine just grain and wherever. Van service, tractor service, and tank service, and the live bottom trailer.
And then,
It's really kind of by type of trailer.
and then one of the features, these are major divisions. And then Randy has, I'm going to pick on live bottom services. You can drill down even further and have subdivisions.
How are you doing divisions in QuickBooks?
Well, again, this is back to the center mapping. So from center / class. So as part of my mapping, I have a division with class.
You map in QuickBooks classes to
Yes.
division?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep. So like I said, there's a lot of setup to make that work.
And
So-
then you add a new.
That's going to be the challenge.
So if you ran a QuickBooks report and you just went in and selected a group of classes that refer to top or bottoms, you'd get the same information, but this is just automated input.
Right, yeah.
Well, really not. You're doing the setup that allows you to automate it.
Okay,
is actually, at this point.
so what we put in FDS with this kind of be equivalent.
Quantities here are just price.
These are just dollars right now. These are just dollars.
Quick quantities.
We'll get there. So we'll get there.
Sand cost better on.
But be interested to find out, for $10 a month.
Well, this would be equivalent to the consolidated cost analysis
Yeah.
with center matching
Yeah, that's right.
and just it's looking at the net income. Okay. So I want to, Howard was mentioning like live bottom services. I want to pick on green air corn in 2018. And again, the drill through, and I want to go look at the income statement. Okay. And again, this is an income statement by this particular division. By income statement by the live bottom that's based on hours. Based on hours. What we have is the first column is your actual dollars, and then the second column is our per unit numbers. So we know the number of hours that came from QuickBooks.
You can't see it, but like this is $2,015 and then dollars per unit, so 15, 16, 17.
Your
And the unit is hours.
The units are hours.
You're capturing that in
Live bottom.
But capturing the hours basically at the incident level is just in QuickBooks. But I'm pulling those hours in instead of Excel down.
Well, but okay, so but where
I think it's not.
do the hours come from originally? How are you at the field or the truck
So that's probably on the payroll plan or it's manual.
And that's
So it comes from
Manual entry from the time card.
So there's a lot of movement in central Nebraska anyway to go to an hourly rate for, like we do delivery, a lot of live bottom hopper work is on an hourly basis. You go hire out on an hourly basis. It's pretty much payroll. There's some honesty involved in that.
So this is an income statement at the service level. So what do we need to do to make that income statement complete? What is something that the FBS is good at? It's allocating costs. Okay. So we're doing this out of QuickBooks data, so we come up with a way of, based on percentage of dollars, percentage of miles for that service, for all miles, we're able to allocate X number of dollars of live bottom cost or tractor costs by year.
They do it in Excel or doing it
I'm doing that in
PowerBI?
I'm doing that in PowerBI. But the journal entry that the FBS makes is equivalent to what I'm doing here.
now your unit is hours, but you're allocating by mile.
By miles.
So the resources get allocated by miles, the trucks and trailers are all there. You think about that's their wear and tear is kind of more on an hourly basis, on a mileage basis, so we're allocating the resources to the service, to the activity based on a mileage basis, but our understanding of our cost for the service itself is on an hourly basis. We roll that up and then we come up with, well, okay, so if I'm delivering cobs, I still have to convert that to a per ton basis for when I'm invoicing somebody for the service. So we'll get
Several
that.
combinations of denominators.
Because then they're kind of come up and say, how many hours they're going to take to deliver to that customer, and I can convert that to 22 tons per load. I can say it's going to be whatever per ton.
So will this be the first season that you're using this for billing? You've already done this on.
So it's been several, I'll say, at least 2 years prior we've done on our hourly basis. And so here's the strange thing about it. I was thinking, okay, we got some slippage here we got some local customers that are real close, and I I was just using an average rate for everybody, so $75 an hour for, and I think, well, these closer guys, there's probably a little slippage there, maybe I should bill them a little higher rate. When we get to doing the math, there's not as many miles involved, there's more sitting time on loading and unloading, and not as many miles, and so really I should have been billing them at a lower hourly rate. My cost of service is at a lower rate. It's just kind of a,
Yeah, it was the opposite of what we expected
yeah.
after the go through the math. That's. So I'll back up. It just kind of showing some features and some of the things. We'll go back to another drill through. We'll stay on linear corn. And as I was putting this together, I noticed in 2019 or 2018 for this particular service that we increased our hours by about 15%. We added 178 hours over 2017. So I would have expected, but I also noticed that our difference in revenue was only up $2,200. So that, as I was looking, it didn't make sense. Why did we have more hours, but our revenue stayed about the same? So you put together, some simple price variance analysis, and the change in the billing unit was from 112 down to 93, about $17, $18 difference. So for whatever reason, the billing price changed in 18 from where it was in 17. And I'm sure that's going to be a question we'll have to understand as we go forward. So again, from a management perspective, looking at those total dollars, I would never have thought to look at my quantity or my quantity. But with Power BI, they have indicators, and that's my intent of these red, green buttons. Anything that's green is probably a positive impact. Anything that's red is something that needs attention. It's kind of
any sensitivity analysis on this, or is it just putting off whatever in the data set is?
So this is just what's in the data set.
Yeah.
But again, the red and green indicators is just a way of trying to find, when you look at all these data elements, which ones really need management's attention. And so I put the red and green in trying to indicate that. And that's when I saw this price wheel. So out of that, get back, because we changed the rates, we decreased the rates, that was an $18,000 hit because we reduced the rates for whatever reason. But the quantity difference was $19,000. So that kind of starts telling us what happened at that $2,200 increase. Go ahead, John.
So, let's say you got this report that you just showed, or something like the income statement, and you had another client that you wanted to work with, and they had a different QuickBooks file, but you were trying to get this kind of report format the same way. Can you just bridge a different set of ledger numbers to the same place in the report, or do you have to start over?
Well, it would be obviously the underlying data model should be about the same.
They were functionally the same.
Yeah, but the mapping would probably change significantly.
Well, so if you had an FBS file for client 1 and an FBS file for client 2, and they use different ledgers, but the format is all the same because it's all FBS, it allows you to take the report format you created, which takes a lot of time, and then just recreate the bridge between the report format, and you could do that?
I believe, yeah, I'm sure it can.
And that would be possible, because you could build a set of reports and then reuse them over and over.
So that's kind of the at the income statement level, divisional level. Then there's questions about how we charge out by resource, and that'll be over here, resources. And just to show some functionality, let's just pick on tractors first. And across the top would be the last 4 or 5 years of history for all the tractors. You got your dollars and the cost per mile for each of the for each of the years.
So you're allocating the driver to the tractor. That's you got payroll on.
Well, that would be mainly repairs.
Repair.
Yeah, repairs. That's. So these dollars here, these costs per miles, is what gets allocated back to the service.
And you can see then you can start clicking on either in each individual.
Yeah. So that the top right now we've got them all selected. If we just want to pick on say the 14 Peterbilt, click on it and it'll just pull up that particular set of information. We want to go to live bottom trailers. We just go here and click on live bottoms, and then all of them, what do you want to look at?
Yeah, I think part of the power here is you could have operational people that want to know what those costs are. They don't have to go over and get in your general ledger. They don't have to get in your bookkeeping to get all this information. Well, it's right there. And
They can't muck anything up because they don't get back to the actual input.
What I like about it, it's not in a spreadsheet. Spreadsheets get fouled up.
So if, in his case, you're taking the QuickBooks data, you brought in 4 or 5 years worth of data, you got a big data file someplace, and then you just append it every month and you get a new set of data? And then you just hit refresh and it brings in that new data?
Yeah, the process would be, if it was live, truly live, you would connect to the QuickBooks file, FPS files. And then there's a refresh process. You click on refresh, and it will go out to all the different sources of data and pull that data in automatically for you. Okay. That's the way the desktop version works. When we get to the full, what's at the service level, BI service level, we're not there yet. But you can automatically tell the service to go out and update up to 6 times a day. And that'd be done automatically for you.
So I know of another company that's using PowerBI and they're pulling, it's a sizable company and they got a lot of detail and they're working out of QuickBooks and it takes 3.5 hours to upload it out of QuickBooks every time they want to. It doesn't work very good. So you could just imagine if this was hooked up to SQL and you just hit refresh and it's going to be pretty quick.
Better yet, just have it update every 6 hours, or every 6 times a day.
So how many hours did it take you to create this? And
Lots.
But yeah, there's a certain component learning curve. You got that piece, but once you get going, so is this? I'm just thinking of how this could be delivered. It's probably not something an individual user will want.
Yeah, what I would envision, Norm, is what they call the data model, which is pulling all the data in from different sources and doing massaging the calculations to get it into a proper, what they call a tabular format. That needs to be done by a professional. And then from there is the visualizations. And I think you can come up with some cookbooks, templated visualizations for people to use. But at that point, most people, like Amy, she's very good at the visualizations. I think most of the visualizations can be done in-house, the navigation and stuff like that.
Once you get somebody in-house that's familiar with it, the tweaking gets a bit easier, but I don't, again, I kind of started out with this discussion. I don't know if this is a possibility of incorporating somehow within MASA, or if it's accounting firms helping set this up, or folks like Daryl, but it's going to take, there's a learning curve to get it set up.
Yeah, it's not a out-of-the-box deal.
Right. But from an FPS standpoint, we're changing your data model, so things Mark was talking about, so it'd be a lot easier to extract.
Well, what I would encourage is, I like the idea of consolidating the years into one file. That'd be number one. Number two is all the processing, the standard cost allocations. I'm kind of doing a little bit different than FPS, but if FPS could kind of mimic what I've done inside Power BI, create those journal entries. That way, that eliminates a lot of the processing that Power BI does. Simplify, and it takes the error side of it away from my perspective.
Yeah. But think about it right now, we got a lot of S centers with all the equipment in, and we don't have the ability to understand cost per unit on all those S centers. And right here we do.
Right. The S centers would be the difficult one because that's calculated. Whereas the N centers, there's actually hard posting costs together.
But I'm kind of treating S centers and N centers the same way, creating the journal entry across.
But one's a resource and the other's a service.
Service, yeah.
The N's are service and the S is the resources.
If you're using this to figure out what to charge people, what do you charge for your capital? Or or a margin? Or what do you do there?
Well, that's coming yet.
Yeah, that's coming.
Oh, we'll talk about that here in a minute. But that's, first thing, it's a cost plus. That's how I've been doing it. So we started having to know what our costs are, and then we just, a little spreadsheet that says, okay, I want to make so much with this service and so much with this service. And at the end of the day, I think about so much in total. It's just a little spreadsheet at that point. But
Yeah. In terms of at the service level, what we're doing is we're allocating the G&A and financing cost out across the different services. I know that's probably not the right way from the accounting perspective, but we're basing that allocation on the total cost related to that service, proportional dollars related to that service. So 20% of over 20% of the total cost of goods sold, so to speak, is related to a particular service, and then it gets 20% of G&A. Or finance. Is what we're doing right now.
This is a separate entity, so you have a G&A allocation that goes into that entity, or is that some type
There's G&A in here, yes.
directory?
But there again, that allocation is based on kind of a percentage of total cost. So it's, get back to some of the functionality, live bottom, we want to begin just look at the trailer, just, start selecting what they are. Okay, so that's about what we have on this. Let's go back to this statement right here. I was pretty proud of what we've been doing. In fact, I was really proud. And Randy sent a couple screenshots out to some of his management team, Matt, his son, and we get this response back from Matt. And Randy, you want to explain what his concern was, or?
well, you probably can't read it, but it's really about the sensitivity of from what you do, the mix. So talk about every time the model we'll see here in a little bit is every time I change from one customer that's 10 miles or 20 miles away, if I change who I'm selling product to, it changes the whole mix of things. Yeah, the whole reality is it. So that's kind of a little bit that I have to start forecasting my year before who I'm going to sell to, if I really want to get down to what I think the final result is for the year. And that's a little bit challenging.
But basically Matt was wanting to know, we're looking at 2018 costs, what's it really mean in 2019? And with increased tonnage, miles, how does that impact it? Okay. And the other thing, Howard, what did you always preach? Past costs don't count.
I read it.
Okay. But there again, we wanted to look at what 19 was, not what happened in 18. But we used in our analysis, we'll keep going here. In our analysis, the way I like to do these kind of comparisons quickly is to take the 2018 baseline and then do plus and minus the change, the expected change in 19. So we were able to separate out variable and fixed costs per mile. We knew what the fixed costs were. So based on the mileage change, the fixed cost per mile changed in 2019. And we kept the variable cost about the same. It's fuel, we look at fuel costs, and it's about the same, labor's not much change. So because we had the separation of fixed and variable costs, we were able to change slightly the variable cost per mile for 2000. Because we had more miles in 2019, our cost came down just a little bit, cost per mile. Okay. So again, it's just kind of a quick comparative analysis.
How competitive are you? Is there any way to compare with somebody else?
Well, yeah, but it's about going out and find out what other services are charging, yeah. That's really I think that's the answer to your question, isn't it, Howard? Can we? Yeah.
Have you? So how competitive are you?
Well, so it's, and then the discussion is dedicated service, but what somebody's willing to charge, I think we're okay. That's an answer to your question. This kind of talks about, like, this is distance and, well, okay, we got estimated tons that are going to certain customers. And these are round trip miles.
It's number of loads.
Number of loads, yeah, okay. And then there's round trip miles for different people, so you can see that some are pretty close and some are, that's actually Shockley, it's not Cobb. It's the distance, it's somebody's, how far away or how close they are, and so again, it's how much the time is that truck sitting and loading and unloading relative to how much it's on the road. And so you said, well, I'm just going to figure out something on a mileage basis. Well, that don't work. It's the close guys could be $4, $5, $6 a mile. So we're back to, and so you can see when I was charging out on an average fee the last 2 years. When Daryl tells me that we can start charging out this way, I'm thinking, well, those guys that were pretty close, and I'm only going to charge them this much, are we going to be generating enough total dollars to cover all the bills? So we really had to come back and say, what the model is forecasting, and I think we're going to do better than last year, actually.
You had to estimate, you got round trip miles there, but you had to estimate round trip hours.
Correct. Yeah. That's Randy's.
That's part of the deal. So when somebody says they want to buy something, I'll get on Google Maps and see how far away it is and how long it's going to take, and then we start adding on loading time and unloading time, and so round trip maybe is 3 hours, or it's going to be whatever miles. So we're allocating mileage of the resources, and we're figuring out time, in the mixture of things.
And you're, one of the things you said, so these are light bottoms?
In this instance, yeah.
So if you have a light bottom sitting there unloaded, engines running, pumps running, you're thinking though that your wear and tear cost during that time frame is less than when it's going up and down the road. Okay.
Yeah, you're not turning wheels, so you wouldn't have the entire cost here.
Well, I don't know what I have not had to maintain a live bottom trailer, but because you're going to get more. That's all I'm asking is the maintenance on that trailer, because it's. And of course, the engine, we do our maintenance on trucks mainly by hours or by miles, because that's what we've done. But if it's stationary and it's running a pump, it's probably accumulating whatever you want to say on the hour rather than on the mile.
Yeah, so when it's sitting there loading, the thing's not running at all. And when it's unloading, it takes 10 minutes to get unloaded, so incrementally, there's a little.
So that comes back to what's the real cost driver behind it? Is it miles? Is it unload time? Number of unloads?
There's a tonnage factor.
Yes. Yeah. So, but back to this. This was the ultimate answer that we did a lot of work just to get to this. But this is Randy's final pricing. When he talks to customers, this is what he's using for his discussions.
It would be interesting to have to look at. You got dollars per hour. It'd also be interesting to look at dollars per mile and dollars per ton.
Yeah,
You just look at all three of them. Probably. Yeah.
We've got that. I just didn't want to put it all up there.
The surprising thing to me was, I wasn't too opposed to selling to customers farther away, but it found out, I really wasn't making as much money as I thought I was. It's, and in some cases we had to deduct what price we were selling product at because they're only willing to pay about so much maybe, and so in order to cover freight, we had to reduce our sale price on our commodity. So, particularly one load of cob, one customer cob, or cob customer, I found out I should have been selling there.
Okay, so this is.
Did he know that?
Well, he'll find out next year.
Yeah.
Okay, then Randy, we're on the phone and kind of talking about what we want to present, and he made a comment to me that kind of a bombshell for me. And his comment was, he wants to move this RPM entity out of QuickBooks into the new FBS MASA.
Okay.
And because Randy's an investor.
So my thought was, let's just go to a common platform. It makes sense. Why do we have different accounting software? Let's go to a common platform. And lady that's helping us here, I thought, well, that's what we're going to target this fall. January 1, we're going to switch to the same platform as we're using with sort of the other entities. Okay.
So some of my, like I said, first thought was, we did all this work in PowerBI. I thought I did a pretty nice job. What more can we expect out of FBS? How would I get to that same level? And some of my reasoning on that was, and I was assuming, well, first of all, I know that trucking is different than commodity-based, so I know there's going to be some differences. But in my mind, when I was first talking to Randy, I thought, well, how do we do things at the resource level, the equipment and trucks and trailers, how do we come up with per unit dollars on those at the S center level? Okay, because right now the S center is allocated based on percentage. There's no way of coming up with the per unit costs on those centers that's labeled as an S center. Okay, and if we was to shift those to an N center, an activity center, basically the only per unit cost we have there is at the total cost, the standard cost. So we would lose some of the detail on cost per mile, cost per labor, if we was to try to convert some of these to FBS, the way FBS is currently set up. And then we'd lose again, not knowing this potential thing. I'm sure there's ways to get there, but we lose the automation we already have in place from Access into the data into Power BI. The access to his miles and his fuel log is all in the Access database. We'd have to find a different way of getting that back into FBS. So to me, it just made a lot more complexity by moving it back into FBS. And I only bring this up as the new development team kind of comes together, is how can maybe the new FBS kind of work towards some of the reporting that we see here. So I'm not sure where we're at, Randy, on this decision, but something we'll have to talk through. Okay, the next step in Randy's analysis, the pricing discovery that we did was only on 3 other services: meter, cord shucks, and cogs, out of probably 15 or maybe 20 different services. Okay, and there's some other services that has pretty big hits to them. And I'm sure, and I'm going to encourage Randy that we go through the same pricing analysis for these other services. So my question is what's the simplest way of doing that? You know, we could go through spreadsheets, and we've already got 6 or 7 tabs, what we already have. And by adding, say, 10 or 12 more services, our number of tabs in the spreadsheet complexity is just going to be increasing. Okay. The other side of it is there a way, as we get more of these services involved, included, how do we start combining all these into an entity level reporting? And then being able to project out in, like Randy said, 19 and now into 20. How do we start projecting out, and then using, if we have projections, how do we do the cost allocations into the next year?
Are you setting your target price based on your costs?
Well, so we're pricing based on a cost plus, and so that
We have a markup.
so the challenge here is that
Or some things must be more profitable than others. What's bothering me at this point? I'd
yeah,
really rather have some jobs than others today.
well, there's different markups on different services. Is that your point?
Well, I say today,
Yeah.
there's some things that pay better than others, and I'm just wondering where you have that in your
So
formula.
we can mark up certain services more than we can others
Yeah.
because of what the customer will pay. The challenge of this right now is just and you dump it all the costs into the spreadsheet and do a cost plus. The model doesn't allow us to do a cost plus on the individual line items. I mean,
Well, that's my next point is,
that'd be pretty simple to do, I guess, but it's just taking total cost.
and that's what we did basically in 2019. Let's do it right. Probably need to do it by line item.
Yeah, so if you think labor's going up this and trucks going up this, you just do it.
So the question I have is, what we're really, to do it right, is to try to come up with projections by cost center, by maybe groups of copy, groups of tractors, groups of live bottoms, trying to be able to project out our customer mix by division. To do it right, that just adds complexity. And again, my question is, to the development side of things, is there ways that can be enhanced or built into the new system? Is all I'm asking.
Yeah.
Okay, how much time do we have?
About 12 minutes.
12 minutes? Okay. That's what we have for RPM. Thank you, Randy, for letting me share some of your data. I've got some additional examples, and we're about out of time. We don't have much time. But one of the things I've been working on is group closeouts. I've spent a little bit of time, and Jim is in the back. And would you mind just sharing a little bit about your initial reaction to some group closeout data we did for hogs?
Well, initially, good. This is a unique situation in that we're bringing in genetic livestock to eventually go into our 5,600 sow unit as replacements, about 25% of them. So you've got where we were used to having a standard feeding process where everything is going to market at market weight. Now we've got pigs going out at 85 pounds, some may be going out at 200, some may be going out at 280. We're saving money on genetic royalties on freight, bringing animals in. We've got biosecurity advantages by raising our own. We're getting first choice on our replacements. But how do you measure what's going on those finishing floors under those circumstances? And we're able to load those buildings heavier now because so we're getting more utilization for pig space. But I just don't know for sure how to look at this. And so Daryl's been able to feed this into the monster and, you know, take different looks at is it pig space, is it feed cost, you know, what should you be doing different, what should you be doing more or less of. So that's our it's new. We've only been at this for a couple of weeks, but that's what we're trying to figure out. Are we doing something smarter?
Well, yeah, it's just a different way of reporting group closeout data. Is where I was getting at. We've got feed conversions, daily gains, profitability by group, by head, just kind of summary by sexes. So we're able to kind of slice and dice on a bigger level than just the individual group.
What's your conclusion?
We're still working on that. But like I said, this is still a work in process, but we're still trying to work through some of that, Howard.
So they're selecting out gilts at different weights, pulling that out, and do you have a choice, or is that just to say we need to pull some out?
Well, we know how many we need in our operation. The other 75% are subject to the genetic company selling them, and we get a premium on those. And then if that doesn't happen, they go to market as a standard fat hog.
So what we were starting to get
I understand historically, I just wonder what decisions you make.
Well, like I said, we're brand new to this. We haven't got that far yet, but we're trying to get to this first base.
But there'll be a contract renewal time sometime in the future, and you know we want more information.
But you're not using Eclipse?
Yeah, we're using the Eclipse. It's closeout data out of FBS. All I'm doing is taking the closeout data and analyzing the groups.
But adjusting the closeout data for those early draws,
Yeah.
pulling out 80 pounders or 200 pounders or whatever.
Or if you utilize the building 150% of the space instead of.
But you're getting direct costs fairly well, but your indirects are.
Well, the indirects are coming through the standard costing.
So what do you do in a contract barn? You're paying so much for the barn, and you start off thinking you're going to have 1,200 head in there, and you end up with 900 head because you've been pulling out pigs. And, you know, where's that last month of cost? Is that being borne?
Well, it's just the way it's being, cost is being accumulated until that group is closed, just like the standard costing does. So yeah, because we have fewer pigs and fewer pounds.
The last pounds are carrying more.
More weight, yeah. But that's where we think that we need to evaluate this kind of thing on a per space basis, not on a per head basis.
Well, it's okay, but can you adjust your animals? Yeah, I see what you're saying. Right.
Yeah, we're still in. This is new to us, and we're trying to understand it. Another example, an organization in South Dakota that I work with, fairly large grain livestock. And like Randy was talking about, activity cost or operation cost is big. This organization has about $4 million of what I call operations cost. What does that really mean? How do you split that out amongst everything? And this is, we've been on FPS, we've been doing the S centers and all the allocations that Eclipse does. But every time I show something, combining cost is what I pick on. Every time I show something, it's hard to explain where those dollars come from. The standard costs report, standard cost report is good for accountants to time out, like what we're showing, timing out the activity cost, the standard cost. But it's challenging to show producers what the numbers behind that standard cost for the line report. So I've been working on ways to demystify that standard cost in one report And just kind of go through some examples, and very similar to what we did on the RPM trucking. We have labor pools. We have livestock labor, cattle labor, or crop labor. Certain people are involved in each of those. So we're managing labor costs by pool. And we don't really know the total hours. So a lot of the hours and stuff in here are guesstimated, but we have a spreadsheet that we use to kind of project out when they do the salary increases. They know what the total benefits and health insurance, life insurance are for quite a bit of different people. So I was able to kind of back calculate what the cost per hour was for a lot of these cost pools. It's not exact, but it's, it's the 90-10 rule. It's getting close. So between the different labor pools, you can see that field labor is about $22 an hour and so on. But we have one guy down there that's he's an older individual older family member. He gets $5,500 a month. So didn't really know what to do with him, so he just did 1 hour. So you can see what the average cost is per hour overall for all members. Go down, click on resources. Again, resources are equipment items. And let's just go pick on the combine. What's been directly allocated to combine is $148,000. And I think they have about 3 combines sometimes. So again, the dollars that's coming from the same dollars from the standard cost of line report shows up right here. So let's drill down on that and go look at the detail. And again, you can see what the energy costs are, repair costs, the lease costs, all on a per hour basis. Hours is our cost revenue in this case. Okay. Here we have a little bit of labor coming in, and that's shop labor. Okay, we mentioned not being able to allocate S-centers to, well, here I was able to allocate it to the piece of equipment. Okay, so that's at the resource level. Then let's go back to the activity level. And go find combining down here, right here. Cost center. And again, we can see that there is $85,000 of costs against 187 hours for this particular activity for the combining. And we can, and what I've been working on is, again, trying to understand the dollars that get allocated from different centers into final activity. What does that really mean? So one of the things I've really been trying to get to is like field labor. For out of those X number of hours of use, 187, we had 250 hours of field labor. That was billed out at $22 an hour. So it gives you just a little bit more detail of the costs behind that activity. And then obviously we can get to labor multipliers and all that kind of stuff from here. So on final tally on this, the combining cost of corn is over $400 an hour, or about $45 an acre. So that's probably an issue that needs to be addressed.
But it's least, that's the least price.
That's cost.
That's the cost, yeah.
Cost.
Yeah, but I see you are paying that?
No. Well, that's
This is a different entity.
different entity, but that's their activity cost. It's not what they're leasing, so it's labor, fuel, full resource.
Yeah, it's labor, fuel, downtime.
This is another business?
No, it's another entity that I work with, Howard.
Oh, okay.
He was somebody in South Dakota.
So with that, we're probably out of time, but go back to this right quick. I just want to go real quick down to the end. So my question is how can we make Power BI live with other applications?
What's it cost, by the way?
Power BI? Okay, Power BI, the desktop version is free. No, you can download it free. Go to powerbi.com, click download, you'll have it. Okay, the Power BI service, where like Randy and Matt will eventually have a ticket to it or access to it. Now it's $10 a month.
For
Okay.
unlimited users?
Well, for every user, it's $10 a month.
Three users.
Okay.
It's part of the Office 365.
Yes, yeah.
Okay, so part of it.
It's free in Office 365.
Yeah, but there's some limitations to that. You're only allowed up to 10 gig per business account, and I don't know how close I'm getting to that. My math is not that close to all what I have, but there's some limits to that. And then $10 a month, is that sustainable to Microsoft?
Well, I just saw something on Microsoft said it was $6,000 a month for some kind of.
Okay, there's different levels of the service. The, what they call the BI Pro level, which is just individual users, it's for small business, small applications, which is my opinion. It's $10 a month per user. At the enterprise level, which is the major, bigger companies, major entities, yeah, that gets up to $5,000 or $6,000.
I mean, the examples, they were using some pretty heavy applications like airports and.
Yeah, well, that would be at the enterprise level. So, in my mind, if, the FBS MOSFET group, and I don't know how it would work, but if they wanted to do things at the enterprise level and allow all the FBS users to have access to it, that'd probably go down that premium level, they call it, the enterprise level, and then have unlimited access or unlimited resources to the service.
Have you looked at any of the other PI packages?
I read about it, but I don't know enough to judge.
Have you looked at those norms? Like
There's-
Tableau or?
Yeah,
Tableau.
yeah, I worked with Tableau in the past.
It doesn't work.
And Randy was the one that encouraged me to go the Power BI route. But what intrigued me about Power BI was the Power Query. We can pull in data and massage it. That is powerful.
I think one thing that's pretty clear is that there's no reason for us to develop any of this native is to be able to interface with those tools like that.
Yeah, it's the cloud side of it. That's very, very right. So
Anything else?
well, that's about it. But the purpose was to just kind of get this kind of technology in front of the MOSFET group and kind of the direction where I'm headed with some of my efforts.
Well, thank you, Bill. A lot of work on it. We'll go to report next year too, so.